After an 8-month break, the NBH has lowered the country's base rate to a record low of 1.95%. With me down the line to discuss is András Balatoni. András, the central bank called off a 24-month easing cycle just back in July. Given the modest nature of today's cut, some analysts suspect that a few more small reductions may follow. Is this the right course of action?
So actually the National Bank of Hungary's last step is more or less in line with the smoothness of the interest rate, with the persistence of the decision making. They don't want to front run the market. They want to smooth out the volatility, and therefore they try to signal a very conservative and long-lived tendencies in the interest rate.
This easing cycle is being triggered by continued below forecast inflation, but actually February's reading was a touch higher than expected, but obviously not deemed sufficient to deter the bank from cutting. Now the bank's updated forecasts have just been released. What was the big takeaway from those?
The National Bank of Hungary decreased the CPI forecast quite significantly. In December 2014, they called for 2015 CPI was 0.9%. However, nowadays it is 0%. So that's a quite remarkable drop in the inflation forecast. And the 0% is more or less in line with our call and the market expectation as well. So therefore, I think that it is quite conservative estimation for the price pressure in Hungary. On the other hand, and it is very interesting that in the same time of the decreasing CPI forecast, they increased their GDP forecast from 2.3% to 3.2%. However, this is again more or less in line with the December's inflation report's alternative scenario, alternative path of the Hungarian economy. And this scenario can be described with persistently lower oil price profile. So that's not a usual economic cycle when CPI and economic activity goes hand in hand. Instead of this, it is rather a supply-related shock. In that case, the CPI goes down and the GDP accelerates over time. And we can see it clearly in the upgraded forecast figures.
Hungary's return to easing follows similar moves across emerging Europe. Are you expecting any more surprises?
It is very hard to predict what can be the bottom of the deflation pressure in the advanced economy and in the emerging economies as well. I see only the United States where the rates is expected to rise, and however they cannot manage the very significant decoupling of the interest rate cycles. So you can see that if the market expects that United States of America will increase the rates, immediately the dollar appreciates against the euro, and therefore the monetary stance is tightening without changing the interest rate environment. So therefore there's going to be quite significant correlation in the interest rates, and therefore everybody is following this trend in the emerging markets and also in the European core markets. And I expect that the loose monetary conditions going to prevail as a consequence of the second round effects of the very low oil prices and decreasing food prices as well.
And with that in mind, some analysts say never mind euro-dollar, it's other European currencies which may impact the single currency the most. Given this and all we have discussed, what is your outlook for euro-HUF?
My forint, my half view is rather bullish, because all the macro fundamentals are quite good in Hungary. The GDP growth reached 3.6% in 2015. We expect some deceleration, but the year-on-year GDP growth is expected to be very close to 3%. However, we can be below it, but still I think in international comparison it's still a very favorable figure. On the other hand, fiscal deficit is under control. 2.4 is our forecast for 2014 budget, and according to our call, there's going to be no deterioration in the fiscal discipline in the upcoming years, upcoming quarters.
András, thank you so much for your time and insights today. Well, that's all from me for the moment, but for more currency outlooks, please do click back tomorrow for our Wednesday's forecast. Goodbye for now.